Okay, now you might not have seen an exponential function before, so I'm just going to get it on a graph for us here, but this one is basic. It's just y equals 2 to the x. It's exponential because the x is in the exponent. This one has a horizontal asymptote, which is a special line that the graph actually never touches or crosses. And I'm just going to go ahead and make a little table here, because if you ever don't know how to graph an equation, a great idea is just to make a table. So I'm going to plug in, say, the number 1 for x. If I plug in 1, I get 2 to the 1, so I've got a 2. If I plug in the number 0, 2 to the 0 is 1, so I end up with a 1 there. Okay, and then if I plug in a negative 1, I actually get 2 to the negative 1, which is 1/2. So that's what my graph kind of looks like around here. If we draw it in, the graph approaches the asymptote on the left, and then it kind of shoots up to the right. I'm not quite going through exactly what I need to. There really should be a point right here. Okay. So, all right, let's talk about domain and range. Look horizontally first for domain. Is there anywhere on the function or on the graph that you see that we don't have an x value that we can plug in? Is there anything I'm not allowed to plug in for x? The answer is no. I can plug in anything I want. I can plug in negative numbers. That's allowed. I just end up with fractional answers for the range. So, okay, that's still all real numbers. We have yet to see a function that has a different domain. So I'll go ahead and write that in interval notation also, just so you can see it. Range, though, this is similar to that quadratic function we looked at. There is nothing down here. So I do have a restriction on my range. I'm starting at 0, going up to infinity, or I can be anything bigger than 0, but I cannot be 0, right? Because I have an asymptote there. My graph actually never touches that line. It gets super close to it, as close as you could possibly imagine, but it never touches the number 0. So I have no y value equal to 0 for my function. In interval notation that looks like this, I don't include the number 0, so I use a parenthesis around the number 0. Okay, so that's it for exponential functions. Let's see on our last example if we do have a function that has a restriction on the domain.